Should you work in silence or should you tell other people your goals/manifestations? I have heard so much conflicting evidence on both of these, and I have come to my own conclusion that I will share with you today. First, we're going to talk about my conclusions that I've come to, and then I'm going to talk about the types of people you may or may not want to tell, or benefits of keeping it to yourself. So those will be at the end, and we're going to start off with the conclusions I've came to from hearing what other people have to say and gathering my own evidence and doing what worked for me. So my conclusion is about somewhere in the middle. There are times where you shouldn't tell people, there are times where you should tell people, and it really depends on the type of person you are. So you can determine what type of person you are based on what I say and see what works for you based off of what I tell you on here. So in this conflicting evidence that I've heard about both sides, I've heard one argument being that everybody has limiting beliefs, and if you tell somebody something, they're gonna mess it up for you, whether they believe in you or not, which is not something I believe. However, the people who do believe this, that is what is happening for them, because another really important thing, other people reflect your beliefs. So if you believe something like this, or if you have another belief that this always happens, this always gets messed up, or any negative beliefs like that, they're going to play out. You don't want to make that happen. So if that's you, consider keeping it to yourself until you're able to work through that type of belief or any other beliefs that you have about that. Some people on the other end of the spectrum believe that telling people makes the chance even better for it to come into reality, because they're telling other people and making it real whether they like it or not, and they're not affected by the people who say that that's stupid or that that's not going to happen or it's unreasonable. Some people just look at that and say, that doesn't bother me. Maybe it gives them more motivation. Maybe that's something that you want to strive for, to have that type of belief if you do want to tell people. Because again, it's totally what you believe. So if that's what you believe, that telling people, even the negative ones, makes it stronger because you're bringing it into reality, that's what's going to play out for you. So it really is whatever you believe. So if you don't like the way you react to things and you don't like the way other people's energy affects you, start trying to work through it. Do some inner work on that. See what you can do to change that up. Now, there's certain phases through a manifestation or achieving your goals, right? There's the thought stage where it's all in your head and you're thinking about how you want to make it a reality, how you want to start moving towards it. And then in the process where you're working towards it and doing all the things you need to do. And then there's the finished result where you've got your manifestation or you've achieved your goal. But if you find that there's certain areas of those three stages, if you feel a little more shaky, whether you feel a little more susceptible to other people's energies and other people's thoughts, if you were in the thought stage and you told the wrong person and you tend to be somebody who doubts yourself or is influenced by other people's thoughts, that could ruin the whole thing for you, because it might have the result of making you be like, oh, maybe I can't have this, maybe I don't deserve this, maybe it's unachievable. And in that case, absolutely do not tell anybody during this time. Now, in the process part, whether it's near the beginning or near the end, make the same assessments. Do you find yourself telling people and it kind of messes with it a little bit, messes with how firm you're standing in it? So assess that too. And then the finished result. Some people, it's going to be better if they just keep it to themselves, like until you show up on their TV, or until you finally have to invite them over your house and you have a whole mansion. Whatever it is for you, whatever goals you want to achieve. Some people prefer to move in silence and just show up one day with all of their achievements and be like, yeah, I have it. Some people want to tell people as soon as they accomplish it. At that point, it's up to you, because, some things you could get set back on. I guess it depends, but definitely make that choice for yourself in those areas. So it definitely depends on what you prefer. If you stand firm on what you believe in your manifestations and your goals, or if it's a little more shaky. So just see for yourself. I mean, you can experiment, see what happens, or it depends on what kind of people you tell. That's another big one. It depends for the type of people you tell. I mean, what I have been talking about previously is more on the end of assuming that the people are gonna say something negative. So if you have a lot of negative people in your life, or you tend to tell people things that maybe you shouldn't because they tend to not really like the ideas because of their own limiting beliefs, it does depend on the person too. So I'm going to go through the types of people and who might be better to tell for certain people and who you should stay away from. Now, again, this is going to be something that you should use your own discernment on if you're not affected by it, or if you're a little more affected by it. So first, we're going to start off with the bad end of the spectrum, energy vampires, or I think they're also called monitoring spirits. If you have not heard of these people, they're pretty easy to spot. They're basically the people who will ask way too many questions, always in your business, always have something negative to say. They often hate their own life, and they're miserable types of people who are kind of like a black hole and will just suck everybody in the vicinity who can be affected by their negative energy into their black hole. And after you hang out with these people, or even during hanging out with these people, you tend to start feeling drained, and you may not even know why at first until you know about these types of people. So for these types of people, if you even have like the slightest bit of doubt in your goals and manifestations, please do not tell these people. They can be very convincing, which is a problem. Sorry if you hear the bird outside, it's very talkative. They tend to be very convincing on telling them stuff, especially if you're around them a bit. For me, I have a few family members that are kind of like this. I found myself telling this one specific person a lot of stuff, and they would always usually have a negative reaction, except sometimes. And it was very like, I don't know, they just really drew me into like telling them, and they just have like this talent for it. Like, I don't know. So just be careful around those people. Don't let the excitement of it make you tell people. You know what I found helps? If I feel like I really need to tell somebody about it, and I feel like I shouldn't tell anybody about it at that time because I don't want the influence of anybody, I'll type it out as if I'm gonna send it to somebody and tell somebody, and then I'll just delete it. And it'll almost give me like the same satisfaction it would have felt to actually tell them. This is incredibly bright. Oh my god. Okay, sorry about the lighting, guys. So this is especially for you guys if you feel so excited about it, you just want to tell somebody. For me, this happened to me all the time, and I tended to always tell people, and then it would just get less exciting. So if you feel like you tell people and it gets less exciting, don't tell people. Just do that thing where you pretend like you're typing it out, like you're gonna tell somebody, and then just delete it. Or you can ask the universe or God, whoever you believe in, to also help you to stay focused, and remind you to stop before you tell somebody something. At some point when I was ready to stop sharing way too much information, I started getting that little intuition nudge in my brain, like, don't say that, don't say it. And then I ended up not really having that problem anymore because I was able to counteract it so often that I decided for me that my best approach was to mostly keep it to myself, especially from negative people like that, except in certain situations. But anyway, we got a little off track there. I would just highly suggest don't tell people who are like that your stuff, because I mean, there's really no benefit in my opinion. So yeah. Next is going to be people who aren't energy vampires / monitoring spirits. They don't have the negative intent that the other ones do, but they're still doubtful, and they fear things like success because they don't see it as possible for them, and it scares them. So when they see other people, especially people they care about, doing something that seems like risky or scary to them, it freaks them out, and they want to protect you, so they do it in the way of trying to scare you and putting all of these doubts in your mind because that's how their brain works, and they feel like they're protecting you. doing it that way. So even if they don't have a bad intention doing it, you still do not want to tell these people these things, because although they mean well, you don't need the doubt being put into it, because if they're not going to believe it anyway, might as well just wait and show them your result at the end and be like, see, look at this is what I did. And then they can be all like, oh my God, like you probably shouldn't have done that. That was like scary. That was a risk or whatever. And then you can just show them that it's possible, so they don't have to like go all crazy about you talking about the process of how you were planning to do it. So people like that, probably avoid telling them to, even if you really want to. I mean, if you do really want to, you can tell them, but oftentimes every time I've tried to tell somebody like that, I've ended up disappointed because they're just not as excited about it, because it freaks them out, because it creates fear in them. So they're not as like excited about it as you are, you know? Next one, strangers. When you go to a stranger to talk, it's different than going to your family to talk, because the stranger doesn't have a perception of you, or very much of a perception of you. And again, everybody's a reflection of you and your beliefs. So most of the time, if you're presented a stranger and an opportunity to bring up something like this, something like the things you're manifesting or the goals you're trying to achieve, oftentimes I've found that the universe will send me somebody who's perfect to tell, and I get like the perfect opportunity to tell this random person this random thing, and then they'll like know something that can help me out, or they'll just be really supportive of it. I mean, not everybody's gonna be like that, but the universe sends you people that can help you. But if you have like a negative belief about it, maybe you might not receive like the best people in this circumstance. But for me, I have not found that I've had a problem even when I did doubt it, because I could even tell the strangers, I'd be like, yeah, like, I mean, like some things like I'm doubting, or like I'm not really sure, and they'll be like, you know, like I know somebody who does this, or like I'm sure you'll do just fine, or they'll be supportive in a way. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can bring up your goal and it makes sense and you're feeling called to, it's your intuition talking to you, try it, tell them. And so in that case, I think it's okay to tell people. I don't think that messes you up, but obviously go with your intuition and what feels best to you. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. But that one I find is a really good outlet to tell people your truths who don't know you, because they don't have any other information to be like, are you sure? You know, like, you know. Next one I want to cover is successful people. And by successful people, I mean people who worked for achieving their dreams and who have successfully achieved it, and who are always working towards more and bettering themselves, and who have that growth mindset and have done it themselves. So if you tell them your goals, they're gonna say, how are you gonna do this, rather than, are you sure you should do that? That's a little risky. They're gonna be like, that's great. What are you doing to bring this into your reality? Because they understand, and those are the type of people that you want to tell. So if you have anybody, this could be like a successful stranger or somebody that you do already know. Maybe networking could help for you too, if you feel called to do something like that, or spend your time in areas with successful people, or in places rich people go if you're trying to be rich, or something like that. We got this little thing going on here. Sorry, the light's hitting it just right. This last one, wait for signs to tell people. If you feel like you're not sure, wait for a sign. Like I said with like the telling the stranger stuff, use your intuition. If you feel like it's time to go tell your friends or go tell your family, go do it, but make sure it's not just your excitement over it taking over. If you're somebody who thinks that like when you tell somebody it kind of takes the joy away, or maybe it makes you doubt. So rather than just going for the typical one end or another, tell people your goals or move in silence, it's completely up to you. It is whatever works for you. It could be in the middle, like me. I find myself in the middle of there because sometimes I find myself doubting things and I don't want negative influence, so I don't tell people, or I don't want the joy taken out of it or the excitement of like the new, so I keep it to myself for the most part unless I really feel called to tell somebody. Basically, everybody's a reflection of you. Go off of what feels right for you. And don't let other people overly influence your decisions, even if it's telling people or not telling people about your manifestations or the goals that you want to achieve. Always do what works for you. Because just like there's a million different techniques for manifestation out there, different things work for different people. And if you believe it's gonna work, it's gonna work. So at the end of the day, it's your decision. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it was able to give you a different perspective if it's something that you have been unsure about. But I hope this video was able to help you today. If you have any questions or if there's any other videos you would like to see from me, my channel is all about self-improvement, manifestation, self-love, all the things. So if there's anything you'd like to see, any video requests you have, leave them below in the comments. Sorry if the lighting's a little weird. Please subscribe if you're interested in joining my community, and give this video a like if you found this helpful or if you'd like to see more like this. But either way, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. All right, bye.